Ukraine has long asked Germany for German Taurus cruise missiles, which can hit targets more than 500 kilometers away. However, the government under Federal Chancellor Olaf Scholz has consistently rejected these requests. In the current elections to the German parliament, Scholz's party took third place, trailing the first place Conservatives and the second place far right. And the new chancellor in waiting, Conservative Friedrich Merz, isn't as strategically timid as Scholz. Merz endorsed a possible missile transfer last fall. Forbes journalist David Axe writes about this. The publication's correspondent, who has been writing about Ukraine lately, recalled the features of the German Taurus. This is a 1.5-ton cruise missile equipped with a turbofan engine, which allows it to reach a subsonic speed of 0.95 Mach, or about 1,000 kilometers an hour. It is capable of hitting targets at a distance of about 500 kilometers, which allows launches to be carried out without exposing the aircraft to the risk of being hit by enemy air defense systems. It is equipped with GPS and inertial guidance. However, the author of the material considers the most important characteristic of the Taurus to be the presence of a double warhead weighing approximately half a ton. The smaller charge penetrates the target and the larger one explodes it from the inside. The missile's high-tech features explain why the Ukrainian Air Force was so desperate to get the Taurus. They are also why German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's government has consistently rejected Ukraine's repeated requests for the missiles. I don't think it's right to deliver destructive weapons deep into Russian territory, Scholz said last month. Axe writes. However, he adds, Scholz's party only came in third in the recent parliamentary elections, behind the Conservatives and the far right, and the representative of the winning party, Conservative Friedrich Merz, who will become the next Chancellor of Germany, whom Axe called not as strategically cautious as Scholz, defended the need to transfer Taurus missiles to Ukraine last fall. So Ukraine will probably get a few Tauruses. The only questions are, how many? How will it use them, and when? David Axe muses. He added that the German Air Force has only 600 of these cruise missiles in its arsenal. Until the next generation of American and German missiles enter service, the Taurus remains the only long-range weapon for the German army. This, given the potential air confrontation with a serious adversary, makes these missiles critically important for Germany. However, the German government believes, Axe writes further, that the country can give up about 100 Taurus without jeopardizing Germany's defense capability. This is not a small number, considering that France, Italy and Great Britain have provided Ukraine with several hundred similar Storm Shadow and Scalp EG cruise missiles. German Taurus could increase Ukraine's stock of cruise missiles by a third. The article says, the Ukrainian Air Force will most likely be able to launch German cruise missiles from Su-24 bombers, which have already been upgraded to Storm Shadows and Scalp EG. However, even the specifics of their use do not determine the possible time frame for the transfer of these missiles to Ukraine. Merz will take over as Chancellor only after his Conservative Party agrees to form a new government with the Social Democrats, a process that could take weeks, if not months. Merz may not have the authority or political capacity to push through a missile deal until late spring or early summer. Better late than never, of course. The Storm Shadow and Scalp EG transferred to Ukraine could soon run out, potentially forcing the Ukrainian Air Force to revert to shorter-range missiles and powerful missiles for the most difficult strikes against hardened Russian targets. Thick-walled warehouses, underground command posts, warships moored to a pier. In that case, the deepest and most destructive raids could resume when the Taurus arrive. The journalist concludes. An expert commented on the information that the Ukrainian armed forces have begun jamming Russian guided aerial bombs with electronic warfare systems along the entire front line. Forbes article claiming that the defense forces have found a way to counter Russian guided aerial bombs and jam them across the front line using EW systems is overly optimistic. This was stated by the military expert Oleg Katov, as reported by Kiev 24. In a certain sense, it is possible to affect satellite navigation, but it's difficult to set up these antennas. It's not just about turning on a jammer from a drone. It's much more complicated, but it is possible to work. However, saturating the area with electronic warfare systems to neutralize everything is a different story compared to the possibility or impossibility of affecting these UMPK modules, Katkov said. Additionally, the expert notes that the number of hits by guided aerial bombs has decreased because the defense forces have become more effective in dealing with Russian reconnaissance drones that were guiding the strikes. By destroying the reconnaissance drone, we destroy the enemy's eyes, and the occupiers have less information to guide their guided aerial bombs. There's also the factor of weather, visibility, and flying conditions. Overall, the article is somewhat optimistic, but that doesn't mean Ukraine is not fully utilizing the entire set of countermeasures against guided aerial bombs, the analyst concluded. Ivan Kirichevsky, a military expert from Defense Express, noted that the enemy has clear plans to produce as many as 75,000 guided aerial bombs, which is 50% more than the previous year. As for the Forbes publication claiming that Ukrainian forces are jamming Russian guided aerial bombs with electronic warfare systems, it should be noted that this discussion is not about data from a reputable Western media outlet, but rather about a statement from a Russian propagandist known as Fighter Bomber. In this case, Forbes simply relayed the publication of this Russian propagandist who specializes in aviation weaponry, and he claims that the Ukrainian armed forces have learned to disrupt guided aerial bombs with EW tools. If one guided aerial bomb used to be enough to hit a target, now Russian pilots need to drop 15 to 20 on the same target, the military expert commented. According to him, currently the Russian army can launch about 100 guided aerial bombs per day. However, Russian generals are now writing that instead of targeting hundreds of sites, they need to focus on 5 key targets, such as frontline positions and critical infrastructure. Given that the enemy has clear plans to produce as many as 75,000 guided aerial bombs this year, an amount equivalent to carpet bombing, it is in our interest to collectively pretend that we have no knowledge of how to counter these guided aerial bombs. It would be better if the enemy does not evolve and continues to believe that a single bomb can take out one target. We should not give them hints that could make the situation more difficult for us. I repeat, the Russians plan to produce 75,000 guided bombs this year, which is 50% more than the previous year. Therefore, our priority is not only to develop ways to counter these bombs, but also to act as if we had no idea how to deal with them, Kirichevsky concluded.